Okay, so we start the recording, just letting the audience know also. So let's start first introducing Mothers in Business, this great organization of career-oriented mothers. So it's actually, we are a very large organization of 4,500 mothers all around Finland, and it was founded in 2015. Oh, sorry. Yes. So Mothers in Business promotes, just a second, I have noticed that I have to change my screen actually, which is easier for me that way. Yes, this is better now. You can see the presentation. Yes. Yes, so Mothers in Business promotes the role of mothers in the labor market and to find the balance of working life, family, and society. Mothers in Business International is a branch under Mothers in Business. It was it started in 2020, and it's aimed to plan activities and events for the international career-oriented mothers living in Finland, and all the events they organize are in English. So Mothers in Business International plans or promotes networking, influencing, and development for international mothers. We also, as international Mothers in Business International branch, organizes mingles. These are live events. We can meet face to face, such as maybe some coffee, having some coffee after work, and then language cafes, and Finnish communication classes, stroller walks, and webinars. So you can see our upcoming events in the Mothers in Business.fi, and you're welcome to join us and become a member and even an active member. So now about our webinar, Angeliki can give you a brief introduction.
Today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic that touches upon most of us, family and work balance. And we will see how we can achieve it, and is it perfect, the do's and the don'ts, how we can keep it going when all of the things happen simultaneously, how can we get support from our workplace, from our spouse, and how can single mothers get support. And I think we're ready for our first speaker, Annica, and to start, and then Heli will continue.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the introduction also of Mothers in Business. I will continue by sharing my screen, and while I do so, I hope you can now see it. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. The reason that I'm here is basically because I run the organization Mothers in Business, which means I should at least be an expert in sort of juggling career and family, at least in a theoretical level. But then having sort of also a family of myself and having this career that I feel very ambitiously about, and having also this great passion for my work, I find myself often also juggling between the two, and I have become in that way also an expert of practice, not only in theory. So that is what I'm speaking to you about today. My background before running Mothers in Business or becoming the executive director of Mothers in Business was also in Mothers in Business. I used to head or chair the board, and before that I used to be the vice chair of the board. So I had this sort of dual role of both, or basically working two roles. I had my work, which I did for money, basically, and then I did this Mothers in Business for the love of the cause. And since that became a bit too much, I decided that it would be a fantastic idea for me to just have one job instead of two. And so I became the director of this organization. My background is in international relations and in sort of societal stuff before this as well. I used to be an expert at the UN in Tanzania. So I had this very sort of ambitious international career going before I steered into this path, but I've never regretted it for one moment, because I love making society more equal and more family friendly, and that's basically what I do every day in different ways. But it also means that since I love my job and I also love my family, it's not always easy. And that's what I'm basically here to say, that it's not easy. There's a lot that we have to make work. So there are quite a few targets to reach. There's ambitious goals that are set sort of for me career-wise and for me work-wise. There are too many places that I need to be at the same time at oftentimes, and then there's too little time to get there. So I find myself running to places quite often. I find myself running to the daycare or running to a meeting or arriving well drenched in my own sweat. I'm kidding, but not always. So it is a lot, but I try to make it work, because I try to make it work the best I can, at least. And even though I often fail and I'm cranky and tired, I then find ways to apologize and to make it right, because my work-life balance is, of course, my kids' childhood. So, and that I want, as all of us do, to be as pleasant an experience for them as possible. And in that way, I've come about to have a small list of some do's and don'ts that I've realized myself, at least in my own life, work at least somewhat, and that have also been somewhat approved by other MiB members, because they have voiced them themselves. We had a bit of a questionnaire, I think it was 2020. No, it was before that, where we asked for sort of survival methods and peer support for all our members to share their best practices. And so I have sort of also looked into those and well, found the best sort of do's and don'ts that at least work for me. But in saying this, my first advice to everyone is listen to yourself and not to other people. And that includes me. This is the most important hint or do that I can give you. And it basically means that not all advice is always good advice. Some other person's advice on how you get your kids to sleep might not work for your kids, because they're different kinds of people. And it's as simple as that. There's also a lot of mom shaming going around. There's different kinds of expectations of how you're supposed to carry your child, or how you're supposed to have your child learn to read when they're 3, or things that we feel then well, not ashamed for, but feel at least the pressure to achieve, and try not to listen to those. I'll give my best sort of 5 cents of what works for me, but then you have to also listen to yourself and take everything with a pinch of salt, and also listen to your kids for what works for them. Also, social media has to be mentioned because it gives a rosy picture of everybody else's life except you, except yours, basically. Because when you start comparing oneself to other people, that's where you know you're well, comparing to ideals that people share maybe on social media, and life isn't actually like that. Nobody's life is as ideal as it looks like on social media. Well, this is nothing new to you, but my first real advice after that most important one is to ask for help. We don't all need to make the same mistakes again. There's a lot of peer support available also in this community, in the Mothers in Business community. And there's a lot of questions that have already been answered several times in groups like MiB Webinar or in different kinds of groups that you may have also for MiB International. And there's, and I say this also because it's important for us to actively ask and also take up on people's offers for help. I give an example, also including myself, but there's, after learning from my own example, I've offered countless moms the possibility to take their babies out for a spin or Vaunulenkki or something like this, to go around with the carriage so they can have a nap, or they can, I don't know, watch Bridgerton or whatever they want to do to relax. And only once has somebody taken me up on this. And even then it was actually for to celebrate the spouse's birthday or something like that, and not for them themselves. So this makes me want to ask, what's wrong with us? Why? I mean, what is wrong with us that we try to make it alone? And this is maybe more for the Finnish crowd than international crowds, because there is more communality in families abroad. I've noticed by living abroad. And Finland, we have this we can do it all alone mentality. And that means also that coming into Finnish society may be hard, because there is this mentality of we can all figure it out by ourselves. So there's not that much maybe help even offered. But if somebody does offer to help, always do your very best to take that offer on, and to sort of send your baby out on a nap to sort of, and the baby will come back fine, I assure you. Also, asking for help if you can afford it. Pay somebody to clean your house. It's fantastic. It took me a long time to realize this, because I always thought that, oh well, it's always going to be so hard, and how and where do I find the cleaner, and made it too hard for myself. And I realized that I am in a very privileged position where I can afford for somebody else to do it for me. So I'm taking advantage of that. So if you're in a similar kind of position, please help yourself. Any other services? I mean, some people really love cleaning and relax during cleaning. That's just sort of outsource something else. Or anything that you can basically afford to outsource, go crazy, because this time in your life there's just not that much sort of me time or hobby time or something. So basically you're buying time for yourself, you're buying time to relax, you're buying time which is necessary for you to thrive. And speaking of thriving, I want to remind everybody of an important lesson that I realized, that just because we're very busy in life, or just because our lives now evolve more around other people than ourselves, we can't stop dreaming for ourselves. And we can't stop basically sort of thinking about our visions, because I found that I don't have my 5-year plan anymore. And I used to always have a 5-year plan. I had fantastic 5-year plans that didn't happen. And this was when I was sort of 20. I was looking ahead. I was thinking of where I want to be and what do I want to achieve. And I was quite meticulous about it, sort of looking at years to come and what kind of internship I want. And then having these steps laid out made it easier for me to go towards them. But now I don't. If I were to not have something like that and not make time for myself to keep dreaming, I'm afraid I wouldn't. So I really want to. What I would want is for us to sort of now go out into breakout rooms and everybody could share their dreams and everybody could sort of think out loud about where I want to be in sort of the next 10 years and what do I want to achieve and what is my dream and what is my vision for myself and how I want to grow and to sort of take 10 minutes out of this day to just do that, because it's good for us. But since we don't have that much time, or that's not the focus of today, we can have a different event for that. Maybe we can carry on. But maybe if you can spare 10 minutes after this session, you can sort of stop and dream out loud, or fill some post-its, or make some sort of, I don't know, dreamscape for yourself there, where you can assure yourself that you are directing your actions towards the goals that matter to you. And that's why I think this is important. And it can be a small dream or a big dream, but it's just necessary for you to have those and work your sort of precious time towards those goals. Also, now this is important. If you have a spouse, you need to make that spouse work. And work for you, because this relates again to your dreams. If you have basically a sponsor for your dreams at home, or it is not necessary, but it helps a lot if you can sort of discuss your dreams and your visions with your spouse, and your spouse says, go for it. I support you in this, and fantastic idea. Let's do this. How can I help you? How can I make it work? That would be very helpful. Now, if you don't have that kind of a spouse, then what you need to do is at least share the burden at home. It's not asking for help. It's sort of basically demanding the bare necessities, at least, which is sharing half of the workload. I find that women tend to have a lot of, we call it metatyö, so it would be meta work, which basically means remembering a lot of things. And remembering a lot of things is all good and well, but it drains us. It drains capacity from us achieving our dreams, basically, and it drains capacity from us achieving our goals at work. It is very brain power intensive to keeping things in mind, keeping in mind that I need to buy a not Christmas present, but a birthday present for my son's friend's birthday party, keeping in mind that we have lost a glove yesterday and that I need to buy new gloves, keeping in mind all this crap is a lot of work that needs to be shared. So it's not only emptying the dishwasher or doing the vacuum cleaning, it's brain power that you need to be sharing as well. And this is, of course, something that is helpful if has been discussed already before you get pregnant, but it's never too late. And if this has not been done yet, I suggest there's all sorts of Excels that you can start filling of different chores and how much time they take, and to make it visible how much time is being used for different tasks and how much sort of effort goes into these tasks, because this is something that needs to be done then if the negotiations aren't going that well. I hope for everybody's sake that it is an easy discussion where two spouses, or however many spouses one may have, I'm very liberal, where there are equal partners that want good things for each other. And that is also something that can be demanded in a relationship. Now, if you don't have a spouse, or if you have a spouse that is non-existent, so to say, surround yourself with a chosen family that can help you out. And in that case, also nurture that chosen family, make them work for you, or at least take up all the help you can get. There's never enough time for friendship, but in cases where you're the single caregiver of a family, and then there's no spouse to support you with your dreams, or to support you with even sort of housekeeping, one needs support from somewhere to have the ability to go ahead with a sort of very high-powered career. One can survive easily enough, but then having career ambitions that you go towards, then it becomes difficult. But I have good examples from my peers where they have. One of my friends is a single mother by choice, so had what, I don't know what is it called in English, but it's artificial insemination, something like that. Anyway, not necessary to know much more, but she has 7 godfathers for her child, and has then 7 chosen sort of, what are they called? I don't even know. They're sort of varaäiti, so surrogate moms. So 14 people that she can always call for help, and she has sort of not maybe written up contracts, but could be written up contracts with these people of the sort of services that she can or cannot request from them. So she has a system of support for herself, because she knows that she loves her job and she wants to do a good job. So sometimes she needs to work weekends, and then in those cases, one also needs to have a boss that understands. I'll go into that later on, but what, besides having this chosen family of support systems, having them being parents, them being grandparents, them being friends, them being, I don't know, cousins, create the system and then make whatever works for you work. What I was going to next, I noticed I'm using a lot of time, but I'll just sort of very quickly go through the rest. This has to do with the workplace then. And this has to do also with what I was going to say about your boss. Not all workplaces are supportive. And if you choose an interview, or I suggest that you choose an interview and carefully select your boss. It's not always like that. I know what working life is like, but if you have any kind of opportunity to choose where you can work, choose your boss very, 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 very carefully, because your boss is more important than the job. If your boss is supportive, and if your boss basically understands your life and gives you opportunities to grow and to be, I don't know, thrive or shine or to produce value, that is fantastically important. And they will also, a good boss will understand your priorities at home. And that sometimes the priorities at home just surpass anything that is happening at the workplace. Also, if you're interested in career development, find a sponsor. Women very often have mentors. Mentorship is a fantastic way to network, to grow, and to create sort of valuable thoughts. But a sponsor is somebody that takes you with you when they grow. and a sponsor will give you work opportunities when you need it. And a sponsor can very often be your boss. So finding a good boss that gives you chances to shine is crucial. Also, then in your personal life, try to surround yourself that make you laugh and make you feel like a better person, because that will give you energy, and then again, chances to shine. Then now we actually are getting to business, which is priorities. I realized that I'm not ever going to be able to do everything I want to be doing, so I need to prioritize. And this is something that you can maybe take a screenshot of if it helps you. But how I prioritize what I do, also sometimes in working life, but very much in my personal life as well, is how much impact they have versus then the effort that I have to put into them. And then, of course, I focus on the large impact side of this table. So having sometimes you of course need to put in large effort, like to get a job, to organize a holiday trip. Then there can be sort of large impacts on my well-being gained through that. But then most days one needs to focus on the small effort that brings large impact. And those can be just sort of biking to work, because I get a lot of energy from that. There can be just the small things like a movie night with your friend. Or the best example is we used to have this, or last summer, we were both working from home with my spouse, and we would have this sort of 5-minute break date / ice cream date on the balcony, which was super cute. We could sort of have an ice cream, sit in the sunshine, maybe talk and kiss a little. And it was very high impact, sort of valuable 5-minute spouse time. So minimum effort and large impact. These things one needs to focus on. In the bigger scale, I would say always prioritize your knowledge and your rest, because we need know-how, we need knowledge, we need to get ahead even in the future job market. So we need all the skill sets that keep changing all the time. So we need to keep ourselves updated in those. And if we're to work until we're 70, we need to rest a hell of a lot. So to maintain our well-being, those two are the ones that I would prioritize the most. Whatever is in my scale, these are always in the top end. Very quickly as well, a perfect balance is, I go back to my first slide, is not easy, and it's something that you can achieve only through knowing yourself and knowing what works for you and knowing what works for your family, and in that way you can find a balance. And then it may not be perfect, but there can definitely be balance, because we live basically a balance every day. Just some days are scrambling more than others, I think. Everybody has good days, so just jot down what you did right then. And in everything, remember that this is just a phase, and this too will pass, as everything with children. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Annica. So it was really interesting to listen your experience and your advice. So now I can start sharing the slides for Heli, and she can start.
Yeah, thank you so much, Annica. It was really nice to listen to your experiences, and I can also relate myself always running to the kindergarten, but I also enjoy running, so it's like 2 birds with one fly. And thank you also, Hande and Angeliki, for organizing this. This is great to be here. Maybe if you start with the sort of presenter view, that would probably make everybody's lives a bit easier. We can maybe jump quickly to the introductions. I try to be super brief with those, but at least you get some context. And then I have a couple of slides also on my behalf, just sort of thinking on ways on how to improve balance, on how to make things work, even with less times and so on. So my name is Heli Orelma. I've been working for Accenture for 14 plus years, so quite a while now. Worked already before my kids, but now I have also 2 lovely kids. One is 5, Arni, and one is 3, which is Elsie. I also do have a husband, and Tommy. He's actually working as an entrepreneur, so he has his own architecture company called Artgraph. So which also means that our life is always a hassle, because even though I'm working as a sort of regular employee, he's working as an entrepreneur, which makes it a bit even more, let's say, demanding for discussions how to make things work. On Accenture, I've been having a lot of different kind of responsibilities, lots of different hats, but one of those latest ones is that I am the delivery lead, which means that I'm responsible for all the deliveries, all the projects for a certain set of clients, which means that there are maybe 50, even plus persons, like every day, like not maybe directly under me, or they are directly under me, but not maybe directed by me, but after or based on those project managers they are. In addition to that, I lead one department called Delivery Excellence, which contains all our project manager experts and also functional architects and functional experts. So there is also maybe 30, 40 people, depending on the time, on how we have different people going from department to another, but like giving some sort of extent of quite many people all around. And also my lovely castle at home. Accenture, maybe one very, very brief info. If you haven't heard, it's a very, very big consulting company. We are one of the biggest companies in the world, consulting all those major clients. We have around 700,000 people working, so it's a huge company basically. Our CEO is Julie Sweet, who has been ranked among one of those world's most powerful women in 2021. So quite an amazing thing. And she has also brought her sort of, let's say, company culture to us, which is always like really, really good, because we strive for diversity and sort of having these sort of sustainability goals, or goal of having split in gender balance and having enough diversity, because that makes us a sort of fully functioning organization. That's briefly on my background. I have collected some tips and tricks on how to make your life easier or smoother or get you striving forward. So maybe if you can change the slide, thank you. The first slide, I only have 2 more, so don't worry, we don't have a long slideshow here. But this one is rather about the work, on learning how to juggle with a managerial position. Of course, in other positions as well, I think everybody's work life is a bit tight these days. But one very big question is like, understand what are those drivers that are driving you ahead? Like, feel your passion, because putting your career aside for 10 years when your kids are small, or 15, I think I would be a completely miserable person after that. So that was not really an option, but I really wanted to also focus on my kids. I wanted to focus on this time when they are young, because soon they are not, and that's the sad part of this. And understanding where you get your sort of passion from and about. I have always been somehow fond of IT, and that's my thing. I love it, and I get really much energy out of my daily life, and those persons that I'm sort of have the opportunity to work with also feeling the compassion, because I think like if I compare time after having kids to the time before kids, after having kids, you're a bit more fragile in a way that there are days where you just need to leave work because your child has sneezed one time in kindergarten and you need to run to fetch him or her, and or there are times when you get all those children's diseases even though you haven't been that much sick. So making a bit sort of more vulnerable makes you also open up to different people, and seeing also acknowledging that compassion that is there around. It's not that sort of harsh perfectionist world out there, but there is like, we are all human beings. So that is like really sort of important and also nice, that keeps you going behind there. Also, one thing that doesn't take you any extra time nor the brain power thing is that besides having those goals, dare to say those out aloud, because I think for many women, we have the way that we think that we want to show based on work, like we want to show the results, that the results speak for us. But nobody is actually able to read our minds. And if everybody is super busy, to be honest, nobody might even notice that you're working so hard on something. So sort of learn the ways how to express your goals, how to sort of tell what you have been doing and sort of what your achievements are, because you need to sort of explain those. Also, one thing is around building the strategy around the strengths. Like in my work as delivery lead, I do everything from opportunities to sales to sort of mobilizing stuff and sort of getting things done. And in the sales space, there are times when I sort of reach out to several people. Hey, you're available. Would you send me your CV? And we would be having this and this kind of thing that we would be maybe needing you for. And the thing is that the guys out there, they always respond. They might not respond that they want this thing, but they always introduce themselves, give a nice sort of explanation. Hey, this sounds nice, but I'm focusing on this and this and this. The girls, last time when I sent it to more than 10 ladies out there, not girls, but ladies, and I got one response. The rest did not reply at all, and all the guys did. So that is something we really need to learn there, that we really need to push ourselves forward, even though something might not sound that we are the perfect match, but there had been some reason why somebody contacted. So it might make sense that we at least introduce ourselves and tell what we want to do. Maybe then it's not the perfect deal, but we never know if we never reply. Then also on listening actively, both at work, also at home, it sometimes supports, because when you have a task or an ask, you always might have already something in your mind that, hey, we need this and this and this. But that's not always the case. Having this sort of really open-ended questions, asking like, is this what we want, might spare you a lot of time when you have the right focus on things. And then also this sort of better done than perfect mindset is that when there are a lot of things to be done, you cannot focus in everything, but getting things done is still quite essential, and finding that sort of balance, like what is good enough, makes your life easier. When you can be happy with something that is 99%, when you know it's not that big of a deal, like that spares you a lot of time and lots of brain energy and a lot of energy, so that you can sort of focus on those things that actually matter to you. Also, I think also there is this sort of network of experts, and we had also very good notions from Annica on sponsorship, and I would really want to highlight that of course, yes, we need those mentors who can sort of guide you in tricky situations, and having that sort of network of allies who support in everything you do, because nobody's perfect. It's like a matter of how you find those people doing those things that you are not that good at. But then again, like recognizing those possible sponsors, those ones that are actually working above you and might see your potential. That is more important than for the sort of concentrating being perfect in this sort of current job, rather getting this longer term career prospects working. Then it's also about the people, because like when you work with a lot of different people, you cannot support everybody. Like I mean, like in a fully way that if somebody screws up, you cannot fix everything on your own. That's why it's really important that we give clear responsibilities, divide the tasks, and also support, like empowering people. I think like last year I realized that if I ask of people really give you very good opinions, and it's also that you somehow acknowledge them when you ask their opinions, and also recognize them if they do something nice, even something small, because those small recognitions, those are truly important. Then one thing of a working mother, understand your constraints. I think like previously you also did have some constraints, but having kids make those much bigger, and it makes many things, or you need to look on many things more realistic and plan ahead. And it's also something I never did before having kids, was that I never negotiated on things like, hey, could we postpone this deadline, or what is the priority between these 2-3 tasks, like what is the most important one, or also sometimes even how to say no in a kind and polite way, maybe addressing that somebody else could do it, or that somehow this thing might not be your main focus. Getting those skills actually helps a lot, even without kids, even regardless of gender, but sort of focusing those is something truly important. Then also on the sort of brain power, or how you cope with a lot of different things. It's sometimes if you have huge amount of tasks all around, it might be that you're multitasking and super efficient. Unfortunately, at least for studies, that's typically not the case. It's typically actually so that when you focus in one thing and getting it done, you're more efficient than when you do 10 things at the same time. So I would really sort of encourage to close tasks, because also like if you have a lot of things started but not finished on your table and your child gets sick, then it's much easier if you have something finished and not started to put it somebody else to do, because you don't want to be irreplaceable when you're a working mother, because you never know, tomorrow we might have COVID or whatever, or somebody's vomiting and you never know. So I always try to get those things finished that are the most important at the moment, and always try to focus in the morning, like what are the most important things that I need to achieve today. And then remember, making errors, that's really human. It's not a sort of cause of embarrassment, it's just a way of learning, and it's just it's a mark that you have actually tried something new and different. And the good thing about making errors and family life is that you never have actually a chance to think too much about those mistakes you did on the way. It's just something that happened, and then you move on and try to sort of keep that positive things going on. And then last for work, but not the least, like when you get some recognition or thank yous, or somebody says nice things about you, like really cherish them, because I think at least in Finland we tend to really seldomly be sort of express ourselves. at like when we are good at, or when you get sort of good feedback. So put those deeply into your heart, because those are the things that keep you easily going and keep the strive forward. Then if we move to the family life, I know I almost have covered most of my time, but I will still want to go through this home life thing, because it's as important, since it's big part of your children's life and what you do at home. So maybe it's one very important thing is learn how to breathe, how to be flexible enough. If you're too tight at work, it will be difficult. So learning how to be somehow working is good enough. We don't need to be superheroes. I'm not a superhero. I just focus on those most fun parts of family life and try to do those other parts maybe with minimum effort. So understand that. Like, I would put a lot of energy in finding those common activities that everybody in the family enjoys, because we have quite a limited amount of free time. So having something doing with the kids that everybody enjoys, it makes your like smile from year to year, and that's the sort of moment where you feel like you're actually living. So that is something you want to spend time on, because like if the kids are old and running around in their hobbies and everybody's doing their own thing, then it's too late maybe. So since at least our kids are still small enough, I really want to do those things together. For instance, we do hiking trips and kids love it and everybody's happy about those. Of course, sometimes, everybody has a bad day, but in overall, everybody's happy with those. Also, Annica mentioned very good about asking for help, but it's also like understand that even if you might not have those friends at this moment, but sort of networking with our other parents and networking with your relatives and dare to ask for help. Also provide others help, because then it's easier to accept that. That's one very good thing to keep in mind all the time. Also sharing responsibility with spouse. That is one very, very important thing to do. For instance, we have these Sunday sessions with my husband, evenings when kids are asleep, and we go through our calendars. We go through like who picks kids up from kindergarten, who brings them there, and we divide those as equally as possible. If there are changes with work, always the one who has that turn asks the other one, hey, can we switch? If yes, then that's fine, we switch. If no, if there is something conflicting, the one who would have been in charge is responsible for getting somebody else to pick up kids or pick up something. Also, if we have kids sick, we both are at home. We divide the meetings, basically who has a more important meeting, and on that other hand, the other one then takes a bit more care of the kids. Of course, here is also that if there is like childcare possibilities of the company, like we do, utilize them. At least before COVID, we did that. Now with COVID, it's a bit more tricky. Then routines and anticipations, like children, you get so much more done with routines with them, and with reminding them maybe 5 times before every time we leave playground or before we leave home, hey, we are soon leaving. And it still comes as a bit of a surprise, but it gives them also time to manage and cope. And also for that leaving the home, I would say that we have this kind of clothes trains, like all those clothing put as a train for the kids, that it's or pile depending on the space, but so it's easy for the kids to sort of dress themselves when they are leaving. Maybe when they're older they can pick up their clothes, but for now they're still so young. Also on the routines, I also usually have the 8 hours of sleep every day. That is the only thing that keeps me going. if I'm really tired, I might go to sleep at 9. But the good thing is that, like, at the time when I did not have kids, I might have stressed out and did not sleep because I was stressed out. Now I'm completely exhausted, so I actually sleep much better than I did before. And also on this sort of having own time, the best way is to plan somehow something fun with a friend, going for a walk, going for a movie, cafe, whatever. Then you have routines that keep on, that you will have your own time. And then you also have this sort of wonderful energy. And also sort of focus on the positivity, on the good parts. I think I love my husband because he's always to me like, hey, did you notice that our son learned this or our daughter learned that? And that makes you feel like, oh yes, they are so sort of cute creatures that keep on learning. So having that kind of focus on those positive things on family life, that gives you energy, that gives you possibility for recovery. We also tend to, every single evening, we tend to say kids something like, we love them because you did this fun thing, or like trying to get them understand the fun things or good things or new learned things they did. Like, I love your way how you love to ride the bike, for instance. And then last but not the least, remember that the time also spent negotiating with the kids and understanding, supporting their feelings, understanding your own, that supports your own growth. I think even those are not typically the most fun parts of adulthood or parenthood, but I think that those have actually given me so much more understanding, even to my own expressions of my own behaviors, of my own, like, setting things to the correct priority and not being anxious on something small. So that has helped a lot. That being said, I think that is my last thing. Sorry for being also a bit over time here, but let's have the final minutes for the QA.
Thank you very much, Heli. It was really interesting, and I found myself in many things you have mentioned. Like, it's very interesting. Actually, our experiences are very similar. That all us working mothers, our experiences are so relatable to each other. So, yes, if there are any questions for our guest speakers. No comments on this interesting topic. Is there anything you would like to add, Annica, to what Heli said?
I really enjoyed many parts, and I had some questions jotted down, but now my 6-year-old took my thoughts away. So that reminds me of the importance of writing things down and not trusting our memories, because things disappear from there.
Yeah, one note that is at least for me that supports a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a question.
Good.
The big takeaway is that you need to ask for help and delegate. And I'm also trying to do that at work. And I would like to ask, how can we do that with our personal life? How can I ask from my sister or my friend who is also a working mother? How can you help me? How do we do that in practice? If you can give us a couple of tips.
I think if I can just go first, what would be okay for you? Just sort of thinking of maybe your sister. I don't know how close you are, but if you're close, I think she wants the best for you. And even if she has kids, ask in a way that would work for you. So any sort of way that you can make it basically easy for her to say yes. And that could involve, I don't know, it could be, well, I don't know if you have kids of the same age or something, that you could have maybe a something special, invite
A
her
play
kids over, or then ask for reciprocity. And things like this. It depends, of course, of the situation, but whatever would work for me would then be the way that I would approach somebody else as well.
I would maybe also like start with offering for help or asking like their
Exactly.
kid over, and then maybe do it the other way around.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was also trying to say, but maybe too complicated.
Rabia has a question.
Yeah, I'm trying to, got my camera to work. Yeah, actually, maybe a bit into a similar direction about asking for help. I think what is also very difficult sometimes for us is to let go of these ideas of what a mom should be able to do, and to, you know, what our tasks are, because we just simply cannot do it all. We cannot be working mom doing 40-hour weeks and at the same time being just as much there for the family like our moms, or at least my mom was when I was a kid, because she hasn't been working for 12 years. And I'm struggling with asking for help, because I feel like these are things that I should be doing because I'm a mom and these are my tasks. But at the same time, I have a full-time job, which just doesn't work altogether. So I think letting go of this idea is also a big part.
Yeah, letting go of all those things that you know don't necessarily need. And for grandparents, I would say that Finnish people are a bit shy sometimes offering even help, but they want to be involved in the grandkids' lives. So it's like a kind of easy way to get these sort of relationships going on and moving on.
Yeah, and I would actually like to add a thought that has helped me somewhat, because I was also shy in asking for help for looking after my kids, because I thought it's hard, and you know, it's a bit of a task, but your kids are lovely, and it's a pleasure for other people to spend time with them. So having this sort of sharing the love kind of a notion to also giving other people the opportunity to spend time with your kids and get to know them and have fun with them, and also remembering that kids are always nicer when they're not with their parents. So they even get the nicer version of your kids. So giving your sister the opportunity, or your grandparents the opportunity, to get to know the kids and to spend time with them is a precious gift in itself. And then it could also be helping you out at the same time.
I agree. I think that we most of the time don't want to ask help because we think that we should be able to do all those tasks ourselves, but and we think that we have to do everything to 100%, you know. Like I struggle with that I have to learn to let go things if they are just half done. Sometimes it's okay to leave them half done, and it takes some time, but I think eventually we have to learn, because otherwise it will get so stressful to be a mom and a career-oriented mom. So I think we can close now. Thank you for attending, and thanks for our guest speakers, amazing advices and ideas about how to cope with this difficult, how to juggle between work and family. So thanks a lot, and there will be a feedback after this, so we would be really happy if you can answer.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.